Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
He's hoping to deliver a little touch of Christmas cheer. That is beautiful. He's going to run. He scores.
He's not here to give presents.
He's just filled with the Christmas spirit.
What a catch by C.D. Lamb.
Kelsey in the end zone.
You can't catch me.
And there is Joe Flacco, fourth quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. They're in Houston, Texas. A huge game. We have playoff implications galore. And Flacco and those Browns, they win today. They move a step closer to solidifying a berth in the AFC. We can say it also about those Houston Texans. Good morning. I am Steve White here with Cynthia Freeland, Adam Rank. Guys, a huge weekend today. And so your thoughts, Adam, with all these playoff implications?
Super disappointed.
What?
No, did you not watch the games last night? Listen, I know that I'm this fantasy guy, and it's what I talk about a lot of times, especially in this studio. Which, by the way, you're way too dressed up. For this,
I know.
For this basement, you're too dressed up. Do we not see George Pickens and Gabe Davis, two guys that everybody gave up on over the last couple of weeks, now go out there and just crush it in the fantasy football playoffs while they're on the benches of most teams?
Well, I mean, my team's out of it, so they weren't on the bench for my team. But I want to talk about the Bills and specifically what that 2-point win really meant. The fact is, they can still win the AFC East, and it doesn't even take kind of too crazy of a scenario for that to happen, given that that the situation for the Dolphins includes the Ravens, the Cowboys today, and, of course, the Bills to end the season.
Well, I'm glad you guys talked about those games because we're going to see some highlights that set up big things for today, as Bob Marley said, in this bright future. You can't forget your past. Look at Mason Rudolph for the Pittsburgh Steelers, his first start since Week 10, 2021. Steelers fan says Rudolph's got to bring it to us. First quarter, 2nd and 14 from the 14. Mason Rudolph gets it out quick to George Pickens. He gone. 86 yards later, he doesn't need to throw a block. I have a block thrown for him.
Oh,
Steelers take a 7-0 lead. By the way, longest play of the season. Who would have thunk it? Now let's get to the second quarter. Bengals down 14-0. First dip for their 18, Jake Browning. Tyler Boyd picked off. Intercepted by Eric Rowe. Returns it 25 yards to the Bengals 14. Oh, Joey B. He's going to be watching from the sidelines. Jake Browning, 3 INTs for the day. He put up good numbers otherwise, but that doesn't matter. Mason Rudolph again lost it deep to George Pickens over Cheeto Awuzie. High steps to Deion style, 66 yards for the touchdown. Would you say? I'm not listening.
Cut out the
Steelers
noise.
win 34-11, solidify their berth. Now, SoFi Stadium. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, outmaneuvers it, hits Gabe Davis as he's rolling here. Hey, Gabe, where you been? Adam Rake says, here I am.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, a big play right there. Josh Allen, 15-21, 237 yards on the day. Gabe Davis, though, big 130-yard day. Fourth quarter, Josh Allen, he's rolling. Oh, he finds Khalil Shakir.
He's up.
He's up. Nobody touches him. But this is a good thing for the Chargers because then it stops the clock.
Oh, my
they
God.
can get the ball back. But Shakir would be ruled down on the replay. That allows Buffalo to tick-tock. Tyler Bass kicks the game winner. Bills win 24-22 in a nail-biter that we didn't think would be this close.
Nope.
Sean McDermott, the Buffalo Bills, though, they are the team you don't want to face. You're looking at the AFC playoff picture. The Ravens, they played the big one Monday night. Still look like the #1 seed, but the Buffalo Bills sitting there at number 6, Cynthia, the Indianapolis Colts in that number 7 spot. A lot of big games today. We have 9 of them on Sunday, 3 tomorrow. Let's look at the inactives and actives. Wide receiver Jaden Reed, that's a big one for the Packers. He's out. Michael Pittman, also for
Is Christian Watson out too?
He's out. We'll see. Will Levis is inactive.
He's in?
So we're going to see Ryan Tannehill is going to be playing today, quarterback for those Tennessee Titans, and Devin Weatherspoon. All right, so for more on this, let's bring in our insider, Mike Garafolo. Mike G, happy and Merry Christmas Eve to you, my brother. You got some interesting news for us, running back news from the Indianapolis Colts.
Steve, same to you. Jonathan Taylor returns to action today for the Colts, a couple weeks after undergoing surgery on his thumb. And he and Zach Moss have kind of timed things up perfectly this year. One's in, one's out. Well, Moss is out today. Taylor is back in there. Seems to have no issues this past week in practice with regard to that thumb. So right about on that timeline that we thought when he underwent that surgery. Let's see if he can get over 1,000 yards today against the, or 100 yards. 1,000 would be a record, but 100 yards in the game. He hasn't quite gotten there this year. He's had a couple of 90s along the way. Let's see if he can hit the century mark and then aim for 1,000 after he gets to 100. But anyway, Jonathan Taylor back in action for Indy today.
Yeah, that's going to be big against the Atlanta Falcons. Both those teams' playoff hopes are really in play. Also, Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins wide receiver, Mike, we've heard he's been trending up with that ankle. Yeah. What's the latest on that?
Everything we're hearing is positive, Steve, with regard to his chances of returning after missing last week's game against the Jets. It was more on the cautious side, making sure that he didn't aggravate things after this tackle right here against the Tennessee Titans. So Tyreek Hill looking like he's going to be able to play this week. If you've got to take the leap of faith because it's a later game and put him in your lineup, the expectation is that he should be able to go against Dallas. Had 2 limited practices last week, sat out the first day of practice, but then practiced the next 2 days. My understanding was everything looked really good. All cylinders go for Tyreek Hill back on the field for a big game. You heard Cynthia talking about the Buffalo Bills charging in the AFC East. Miami's going to have to fend them off. So Tyreek Hill returning to the field, that is welcome news for them.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Don't forget to leave out the milk and cookies for Santa Claus. Don't let your daughter stay up and see him because that'll spoil everything.
Yeah, well, she's not. She'll go to bed. It's a question of whether she's going to wake up in the middle of the night like she does every single night of the year, Steve. Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas to you, Mike. All right, now let's get to some of the game action, and let's head. Look at this. Okay, the Miami Dolphins, huge game against the Dallas Cowboys today. Clinch a playoff berth with a win versus the Cowboys. So we know they can make it simple on themselves. They're great at home. And let's bring in our Cameron Wolf, who's down in Miami Gardens. And Cam, we just heard Mike Garafolo talk about Tyreek Hill trending up. What is the latest from where you are?
Yeah, Steve, the players should be showing up here in the next 60 to 90 minutes for this afternoon game. But Tyreek Hill, from what I understand, is expected to play. Mike McDaniel was optimistic all week about him, feeling good about him. No setbacks. They'll do a pregame workout to confirm, but it sounds like they'll get the Cheetah back. And I can't wait to see the hype offseason talk between the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, and the Lion, Micah Parsons, be translated on the field. Tyreek Hill has talked about facing Micah all season, and Micah added fuel to that fire this week, saying, Tyreek knows I'm faster than him, and we're going to see it on Sunday. Well, Micah Parsons' big challenge will be facing Tyreek, not facing Tyreek, but facing Tua. He gets to the quarterback faster than any other playmaker. The problem is Tua gets the ball out quicker than any other quarterback, and so that matchup of speed, who gets there faster, Parsons to Tua or Tua getting the ball to his speed playmakers, could make or break this game. And one more thing about Tyreek, he's still chasing that 2,000-yard mark. He needs 153 yards per game over his last 3 games to get it, and you know he is going for it.
Wow. I mean, this is the something's got to give game, right? I mean, Micah's got to get there, Tua's got to get rid of it. The home team's got to win, or the road team's got to win. Someone's got to beat a team with a winning record. But Cynthia, you just heard Cam talk about Micah Parsons getting to the quarterback, to Tua. Dolphins' offensive line is an issue, as is the Cowboys today.
Both offensive lines. I mean, on the actives and inactives, we didn't even talk about Tyron Smith because he was already ruled out prior to this even 90-minute window ahead of the game. That's a huge deal. You saw it happen when they lost their right guard, when you have Zach Martin not playing. Things looked considerably different. Now you got 2 pieces of 5. That's 40% if we're being just straight, not necessarily accounting for how good each one happens to be. So that's going to be a problem as well. The trenches will dictate this game. And sometimes we forget that, I know there's no Jalen Phillips, but the Dolphins have a bunch of guys, guys who maybe we don't talk about, Zach Seiler, whatever. The people who don't talk about Andrew Van Ginkel. People are not saying, who's winning Defensive Player of the Year? Andrew Van Ginkel. But he's playing really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you got to be, the trenches will decide this game.
It's funny. I can't even imagine saying this about the Dallas Cowboys, but you talk about people not talking about it. Everybody looks at the 49ers and Ravens like potential Super Bowl preview. Why not this one? This could potentially be a Super Bowl, a rematch of Super Bowl VI. The Dallas Cowboys, the first team in NFL history to not allow an offensive touchdown in the Super Bowl. Listen, I know you kids don't like Google and don't like looking things up. Just trust me when I tell you.
It's on ChatGPT too. The kids love ChatGPT.
But I really love this matchup, and I think that this is an opportunity for both teams to go out there and kind of prove that they belong. Because everybody sees the memes, they're like, oh, it's the Med Bowl, it's the mid-card. Like, no, these are two very good teams with an opportunity to go out there and prove themselves, and I'm excited for it.
And Cam, we talk about the offensive lines. We saw Dallas get gashed in the run game by the Buffalo Bills. We know Miami's got one of the most dangerous run games. What about that scenario right there, how the Cowboys can stand up against that run game, as Cynthia just talked about, a diminished offensive front?
Yeah, Steve, we talk a lot in this game about Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb because they're two of the best receivers, but I'm told to expect Miami's offensive game plan to center around their running backs, Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. They want to pound the ball on the ground. They've been really effective in it this year. They lead the NFL in yards per carry. The question has been their opportunities, and Raheem Mostert in particular is breaking all kind of records. He's broken the franchise record for touchdowns, and I talked to him this week and said, hey, have you been able to celebrate your accolades? He said, no, because all the seasons of my career that were taken away from me due to injuries and opportunities, only thing on my mind is more. And so more is going to be the name of the game for the Dolphins today. They know that Cowboys defense just got gashed for 266 yards against Buffalo, and they also know their top defensive run stuffer, Jonathan Hankins, is not playing today. And so expect them to lean on them. One more thing, Achane, the rookie running back, has been dealing with a toe injury. I'm told this is the healthiest he's felt for a while. And so expect an uptick of touches for him as well.
Oh, boy, that's really good stuff, Cam.
I'm already going to my fantasy.
Yeah, really good news, Cam. Hey, Merry Christmas to you, man. Love the suit. Happy holidays
Merry Christmas
to that little girl. All right, we got a big game up in the north. Jared Goff. Now, he's been doing that for years, loosening those shoulders up.
That's actually how he dances.
All right, so let's go ahead in the Viking Stadium, U.S. Bank Stadium. And let's join our Tom Pelissero. Let's bring him in because he is here for this, Danny. And Tom, we know these two teams, they meet twice in the next 3 weeks. And the Detroit Lions, they can make things easy on themselves if they handle business today.
That's right, Steve. The Lions can clinch the division with a win or a tie today. It will be Detroit's first division title since 1993. So let me take you back there for a second. The last time the Lions won a division title, Barry Sanders was out with a knee injury. Wayne Fontes had fired his offensive coordinator after a November shutout loss to the Vikings, and journeyman Eric Kramer took over as their third quarterback down the stretch. So I talked to Eric Kramer on Friday. He said, no, this isn't the 72 Dolphins. We're not going to celebrate with champagne if the Lions fall short again. He loves Dan Campbell from afar. He loves the redemption story of Jared Goff. He said if they win today, like every Lions fan, he's going to enjoy it. It's interesting, too, talking to some of these active Lions players. Talked to safety Brian Branch on Friday, who obviously is a rookie in the league. But he said when they're in their practice facility, you look up, you see the banners. They want to add to it. Dan Campbell didn't address it a whole bunch this week. We know how much it would mean to them because if they lose this game, all of a sudden, Steve, they got a short week before they face Dallas, and it could be week 18 at home for the division against the Vikings. Yeah, we know the stakes are high. And real quick, Tom, the Vikings, some of their injury situation, knowing the game that they've got to win today. Well, Alexander Madison, the running back, is going to be active today, Steve, but I'm told he's not 100% on that ankle, so they're going to continue to ride Ty Chandler. They are getting some reinforcements on defense. Jordan Hicks is going to be back in the starting lineup today. They don't have Byron Murphy at corner, but rookie Mekhi Blackman is going to get the start in his place. Brian Flores has a history with Jared Goff, including in the Super Bowl. Look for him to roll out some things Detroit has not seen on tape and try to keep the Vikings in the thick of this NFC playoff chase as well, Steve. Tom P. bringing the great stuff. Hey, Merry Christmas to you, Tom. You too, Steve. Merry Christmas. All right, Tom P. giving some really good stuff. Yeah. Talking about Brian Flores, some things he can do. But, Cynthia, you look at the Vikings team. You look at this Lions team right now. Your thoughts on this big game?
Well, okay, look, I'm going to be very honest. I'm a Lions fan. I'm very
No way.
I just don't think I would have never guessed. Well, for me, it's very scary. It's going to come down to week 18 and they'll nail. But anyways, in terms of this game from a game standpoint, I do want to look at what Brian Flores has been able to do with the Minnesota defense, which is in the beginning of the season, it was confusing at best, maybe not so great. Like
Not good enough.
yeah, okay. And then they got a lot better. What did they do to get better? Well, they started mixing up the looks. They blitzed a ton. We know that you're going to get blitzed, or they're going to drop 6 defensive backs. So it's kind of a high-stakes game of poker that they play. It's rare that you see such a high percentage of plays where you have blitzing and also such a high percentage of plays with 6 defensive backs. Those things don't usually go hand in glove, but here they do. So I think that confusing quarterbacks, keeping people like false leverages, meaning is it zone, is it man, what are we doing here? That has been a really helpful strategy for Brian Flores, especially because some of the people on the back end of this defense maybe aren't as premier as some of the other teams have. Not saying anything mean, just saying maybe a little, you know, he's made some magic.
He's made some magic happen. Yeah, he has.
Yes.
But you should celebrate. The Lions are going to win this division. The first time since 1993, as Tom Pelissero said he would. You know, that's the thing.
And by the way, it's not the same division even. They've never won.
That was the Central. Yeah, they've never won the North. I mean, this is so long ago.
I'm not okay.
Travis Barker wasn't even the drummer for Blink 182, and I think Tom would be the only one who would listen. You're fine. Like I understand you're unwell and all that stuff. Listen, the ghost of Eric Hipple has now been exterminated from Detroit. I think because Jared Goff has been playing so well. And honestly, I think this is really starting to work out. I can't wait for the Lions to play host to the LA Rams in the playoffs.
You're setting it up.
Matthew Stafford, revenge return to
Can't
Detroit.
we get an easier opponent?
Well, this is, but it really goes to show, like, Sean McVay had given up on Jared Goff and sent him to Detroit and went up, with Matthew Stafford, went on to win the Super Bowl. But Goff has been playing very well, and especially this season, we've really started to see it. Last year, they started off 2-6, went on that incredible run, and you came into this year wondering, like, was that just fool's gold? Are they going to be able to match that? And they've done that, and I think a big reason why guys like Sam Laporta, the strong running game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they've answered every question to me, and I think that we can sit here and make jokes about Jared Goff being an indoor cat, which he truly is. He's an indoor cat. Don't let him out in the wild. Don't let him out in Chicago and things like that. But otherwise, when he's indoors, amazing.
His next 3 games, he's
all indoors.
Cat. All in the dome, so there you go.
Oh, next to the fire.
In fairness, it could be better to get the wild card because I'd rather, as a Lions fan, play whoever wins the South. Anyways, that's another story.
You are just so fatalistic right
I
there.
am.
Don't do it.
That's what, it's been 30 years since anything decent's happened. So,
We get it. Well, we'll see what's going to happen. And look for the latest on everything that happens across the NFL today. Make sure to sit there and watch the NFL channel and Game Center. There you see him, Joe Flacco.
There he is.
Joe Flacco. He's in his he's a 4th quarterback in like his 27th season, but the Cleveland Browns could be making their push to the playoffs.
They are.
They have to beat the Houston Texans today. We're going to have more from Houston coming up after the break here on NFL Preview. Welcome back to NFL Game Day Preview. You are looking at DTR. No, that's not DTR. That's Joe Flacco.
Oh.
Psych.
Oh.
Joe Flacco. Look at him in the Browns uniforms down in Houston. It is an opportunity for those Cleveland Browns to further enhance their playoff positioning. So let's go down there where our Stacey Dales is at NRG Stadium for this big game. And Stacey, welcome. We were just looking at highlights of Joe Flacco, but you also have some quarterback updates for the Houston Texans, whose playoff hopes are on the line as well.
Yeah, we're going to get ready, Steve, to watch Case Keenum, obviously, who was valiant last week in that Titans victory, taking over for C.J. Stroud. But I thought it was a really good update from D'Amico Ryans, his head coach, when I interviewed him this morning ahead of today's game, and saying that he actually returned a meeting C.J. Stroud did on Friday and was able to get out on the field. So looking ahead, that is a really good sign for the Texans. As for Case Keenum facing this defense, this is the #1 total defense in football in the Cleveland Browns. Jim Schwartz's group is really special. I had a good conversation, guys, with Greg Newsome from the secondary, and I said, what is it about Jim Schwartz this season? What's made it so unique? And he said before the season actually started, Schwartz told us, we're not going to lead the league in stats. We're going to lead the league in toughness, effort, and swag. And if we do that, all the stats will follow. And that's exactly what's happened. They don't give up a whole lot to opposing quarterbacks. In terms of passer rating, 73 passer rating is the lowest in the NFL, and it's the top pass defense in the league. So Case Keenum, guys, will have his hands full today. D'Amico Ryans told me basically he's got to be really efficient and be a spark plug for their offense.
Stacey Dales, thank you so much. Basically saying that the Browns defense is going to play the Grinch, potentially, today. Merry Christmas to you, Stace.
Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year.
Absolutely. All right, Adam, you heard Stacey talking about the Browns defense and how good they are. Your thoughts?
First of all, I heard you besmirch the Grinch. His heart grew 3 sizes. He came to embrace Christmas. So I don't. That's the analogy. Like
we're in
this,
Whoville right now.
No,
we're in Whoville right now.
Okay, fair enough. But I think we've seen over the last number of weeks, this Browns team has been playing excellent. And I think that perhaps they're the scariest team, the one that you do not want to draw in the AFC playoffs. Like I can see like Kansas City, winning the West and then playing host to the Browns and getting defeated because their defense is that good. The teams that you don't like in the playoffs are the ones that play strong defense and can run the football. That's the type of team that can win some games. And we see they have that magic, like similar to what. How did he not come down? That was mean. That was mean. You did not need to show that play. All right, you guys, you're done celebrating. Here's the thing. They're a very good team, and they have a great shot. And so they like the Vikings last year, where they were winning those, finding ways to win. And I think there's something to be said about teams that find ways to win, and the Browns are certainly doing that.
Well, I want to point out the other defense because we know that this Myles Garrett-led defense, which I think Myles Garrett gets back on track. What is this longest streak without a sack? Maybe he'll have like
going
4
against
to
Laramie
make up.
Tunsil.
Right? Okay. But here's what I'm saying. Jonathan Grenard, 12 and a half sacks.
Yes.
We don't talk about this front enough, probably because C.J. Stroud's been doing just such amazing things that maybe it gets a little bit overlooked. But their defensive tackles are great. I know we both love Sheldon Rankins. We always talk about that, right? But ultimately, when you're talking about what this coach has done in such a short amount of time, it's kind of like, well, he's obviously gotten a better quarterback than we thought, but he's made the front exactly what he wanted it to be. So they're on really good track. And obviously, their rookie sensation, Will Anderson's not playing today, but he's a huge factor in it as well. I just think there's a lot of great things he said about it. If I'm a Texans fan, I am psyched for the future. And if we make the playoffs this year, great. If not, great year. I just think
absolutely.
And you've already used your draft pick, so you don't need to go to that thing like, oh, let's lose and get a better. No, it doesn't matter.
Right?
You got him.
You
Will
got
Anderson's
two
already
great
there.
ones. Two.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
nailed both those picks.
Home runs twice. That's great.
Yeah.
That's like Ohtani.
Don't use a baseball analogy.
It's like Ohtani level.
It's like the Texans are out there banging a trash can and getting things going. No, I'm just saying don't do. Yeah, they're like rap.
All right. We're moving on. We're not getting into the baseball now. We're going to go to Tampa because we have a very important game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where now we're going to be joined by our Sarah Walsh. Sarah, what can you tell us the latest on the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, and that crew?
Well, Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, things are looking really good lately, right? They're rolling. They've got some momentum. They've won 3 straight, looking to make it 4 in a row here as everything has sort of been falling in their favor. Baker is coming off his best performance as a Buccaneer, and he did it in Green Bay. Threw for 4 touchdowns last week, had a perfect passer rating that has never been done by a visiting quarterback there, and that's why he is the NFC's reigning offensive player of the week. It's good times down here in Tampa Bay, and obviously the Jaguars would like to put an end to that, and they'd more importantly like to put an end to their 3-game skid. The big news here, Steve, is that Trevor Lawrence is expected to play since he did clear concussion protocol. He practiced for the very first time with his team on Friday. Doug Peterson said he had been progressing well, but part of the challenge for the Jaguars is that they've been looking for a solution since Christian Kirk went down with an injury that coincides with the 3-game slide, and now Zay Jones, who's questionable with both a knee and a hamstring, he is not expected to play. So Calvin Ridley knows he is going to have to step up today as the Jaguars are racking their brains trying to come up with some kind of solution to stop this slide down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacksonville's got to win because we see that Indianapolis and Houston is really in position to potentially take that spot if they lose their 4 straight. Sarah Walsh, Merry Christmas to you. Enjoy the game.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
All right. So, Adam, you heard Sarah talking about Baker Mayfield and the way he's playing. Ian Rappaport reported today. Good chance he could be back in Tampa next year.
I hope so. I'm really happy for Baker Mayfield. This has been a long struggle for him. When you look back at his career, starting with Cleveland, who's been searching for a quarterback since Otto Graham. That wasn't going to work out. Carolina didn't work out. But last season, when he went and spent limited time with Sean McVay, it really kind of turned around his career. And what we've seen out of him down there in Tampa Bay is been what we kind of expected from him when he was the first overall pick in the draft a number of years ago. And so for me, I think it's smart. I mean, the Buccaneers likely will win the NFC South. They will go to the playoffs. They will be a playoff team. Why not give it another go with Baker Mayfield? Why not see if Mike Evans can come back for one more season? And I think they're starting to really build something in Tampa Bay, so I hope that they stick with Baker.
It's taken Todd Bowles 2 seasons of all of these pressers saying, we need a run game. If we could just get the run game going, we need... And Dave Canales finally nailed it with Rachaad White. It's really happening for them. And that's really helping Baker Mayfield as well. You don't get a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field without Rachaad White really helping you out. So I'm looking at their opportunities, especially at least I didn't think that their O-line was going to be as good as it was.
Right.
But
No,
part of they did. We were like, what is this O-line we're looking at ahead of the season? And they've overperformed that index. But the run game and the multiple different ways they're using Rachaad White, that is what, to me, is making the difference. Good for Baker Mayfield, but thanks, Rachaad. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're playing a Jaguars defense that has really gotten a little loose the last couple of weeks. Huge game down in Florida. But coming up next on NFL Game Day Preview, Adam Rank.
Yeah.
We're going to the board as you're seeing Devin Singletary.
Ooh.
How does he factor
That's a tough
into
start.
the fantasy lineup or your fantasy lineup today? We'll be back after the break on NFL Game Day Preview.
I'd start Ty Chandler over him.
Back at NFL Game Day preview. Huge Week 16. We've got holiday suits. We've got Aaron Rodgers coming in to sit on the bench, but he's wearing a nice, ugly sweater. A lot of Game Day socials coming up here on X, Instagram, all of your social media. That's our waterfall. But now it's time for our fantasy outtake.
Oh, yes.
Adam, we got a lot of things going on right here.
We do.
So let's get right to it. Your must-start quarterback today.
Well, I'm going to go with Justin Fields going up against the former Chicago Cardinals, the longest, I got to imagine it's the longest rivalry in the NFL. Both these teams from 1920, right? Justin Fields, though, over the last number of weeks, has had at least 12 rushing attempts in 3 out of his last 4, 5 games with over 50 rushing yards this season. The Arizona Cardinals have allowed 23-plus fantasy points to quarterbacks in 2 of their last 3, and they've allowed the most offensive touchdowns, or offensive. They weren't offensive, but offensive touchdowns.
Yes, yes.
Offensive if you're an Arizona fan.
That competitive streak the Cardinals had early has kind of waned. All right, your must-start running back.
You know what? I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. He's active. He's back. He's ready to go. Zach Moss is not going to be playing, and I know a lot of people are apprehensive because the Atlanta Falcons have been very good.
Their defense has been solid.
They have not allowed a rushing touchdown this season, so that lends you to think, like, why would I be starting Jonathan Taylor? But the Falcons have allowed 4 receiving touchdowns to running backs this year. Jonathan Taylor has 1, so I feel good enough with that, and we heard the reports. The Colts want to run the football, so I feel comfortable enough going with Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, running back now to wide receiver.
I'm going to go with Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice has been on fire over the last number of weeks. We've been calling for it on NFL Fantasy Live. He's been on the hype train twice. He's had 7 receiving touchdowns this season, which has set a Chiefs record, 7 receptions in 4 consecutive games, and he has been the go-to guy. The guy, they really missed, hard to believe, obviously they missed Tyreek Hill. But I think they kind of underestimated how much they were going to miss Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
And Rashee Rice has kind of stepped up over the last month.
Okay, who are we avoiding today, Adam?
Well, I don't want to say but the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos, playing him is Dangerous. Yeah, sorry. High five. That was good. That was puntastic. I like Denver. I think Denver's going to win this football game. I can't wait to watch it this evening. Gather the family around, get the Yule log going, watching this game. I think it's going to be very low scoring, and that's what the New England Patriots do. Russell Wilson hasn't really been lighting it up fantasy-wise either, so I like the Broncos to win. I've not given up on you, Denver, but we're going to sit Russell Wilson in fantasy.
Remember that game tonight is on NFL Network.
I didn't even know that.
How about that?
That was just an organic thought from me.
All right, well, now it's time for Who Scores, and that is presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, and let's take a look at the Seahawks-Titans game, and this same game parlay on DraftKings, a Derrick Henry touchdown and overs for Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. All right, Adam, who scores in this game?
I like DK Metcalf in this one to score. I think that he's been real opportunistic every time the Seahawks get near the goal line. He has 15 end zone targets this season. That's tied for 4th most in the NFL. And the Tennessee Titans, their vulnerability is in their pass defense. So you want to attack them through the air. I think Geno Smith is going to be looking for DK Metcalf, so I would expect him to be the touchdown scorer.
All right, Packers-Panthers, not great defenses in these games.
I know, but there's going to be a huge opportunity for Dontayvion Wicks with a couple of big names out. Yeah, if you missed it earlier, Christian Watson is not going to be playing, and Jaden Reed, excuse me, thanks so much. Jaden Reed is also not going to be playing, and Wicks has been a really nice find for them. Rookie wide receiver. I know Aaron Rodgers sitting there being like, now you draft all these stud rookie wide receivers. But yeah, he's been doing a really nice job for them. So in a bounce back game, again, against a team that you can I know that Carolina's been tough against the pass over the course of the season, but over the last couple of weeks, you've been able to get on them.
All right, we got the Commanders and Jets. Who scores there, Adam?
This is a tough one for me because I like both Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, but I got to go with Garrett Wilson right here because the Commanders' pass defense has been terrible this season. And I don't care who the quarterback is. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. He's had at least 10 targets in half the games this season, 15-plus fantasy points every game this year. So I think Garrett Wilson, regardless, again, I could be out there throwing the ball to him because you know what I would do? I'd throw it to him. So I think Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall are the 2 best bets there, but I love Garrett Wilson.
All right, good stuff. Remember, take that advice. And now it's time for our call to action. Don't forget, on DraftKings Sportsbook this season, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $150 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Download the app and use the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. We got this big game up in Minnesota, NFC North. Justin Jefferson, he is ready to rock. There's Chanton Skoll, but he's jumping to a different beat right there. We're going to be back in just a second on NFL Game Day Preview.
They should have had a white helmet. That would look clutch.
It's only one way to play this game, bro. It's a f***ing party! Hit these in the mouth from the first snap to the last. Show these boys they don't belong on this field with us. I'm calling you out. What the f*** are you gonna do about it? Let's go! Let's go! Let's settle this. Touchdown! Let's settle this. OBJ! Down and Purdy, baby. Let's finish it. I'm gonna take it. The Ravens winning in overtime. Let's settle this.
And that is the banger that wraps up Monday night. Let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture. The 49ers, you see they've already clinched, as have the Cowboys and Eagles. We've already discussed the Vikings having a big game with the Lions today in Minnesota. We're seeing the Rams sneak up into that sixth spot in the hunt. We're seeing some of those NFC South teams. All right, and the 49ers, they clinched the #1 seed, which they want badly, with a win, plus a Lions loss, plus a Cowboys loss, plus an Eagles loss. Yeah, that's actually doing them a lot of favors.
Yeah.
They've got to handle their own business.
Okay. So they're not clinching today.
Now let's look at the AFC playoff picture, as the Baltimore Ravens are the only team on the board that can clinch. You see Buffalo with that win over the Chargers yesterday, now #6. They're still in the hunt to win the AFC East. The Jaguars in a must-win scenario as you see the Texans on their heels. The Colts are already in that 7th spot. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, they can clinch the AFC North division with a win today plus a Browns loss. Browns playing Houston today. So again, the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Santa Clara for that dandy we can't wait to see. And it is time for quick picks. And guys, we are talking about that Monday night game. The Ravens at 49ers. All of us are picking the 49ers.
Yeah.
The Bay Area team, they are playing at home. That is a huge thing, and they win. And a couple other things fall into place. They could get home field, which they want. Cynthia, your thoughts on this one here?
Well, there's some interesting injuries that we keep track of here, right? Eric Armstead obviously is a big loss for that front. However, I'm a little bit more worried about the health of a guy who has been kind of in and out of the lineup, which is Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Last week, you saw him in and out of the lineup like every other snap. And then for a couple weeks when he wasn't there, look at this pressure. I mean, I realize that that's the Browns, but the Browns are in their division, so that's a big problem. And there we go, the Colts as well. So when I'm looking at the difference, O-line play, especially when you're missing your normal starting Mark Andrews tight end, English, not my first language today. When you're missing him too, you can't just keep missing pieces and losing pieces and expect the same output. So I'm a little concerned about that O-line.
Yeah, and don't forget who they're playing. They are playing the San Francisco 49ers.
I know, and even without Eric Armstead, like, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, they're rotating players in there.
They all thought about that too. When they went to Detroit, everybody thought like, oh, the Ravens are going to go in there and win. I know that the Lions and 49ers are different, but I think that people are underestimating the Ravens a little too much.
I would agree with
I have a close game. I still have the 49ers.
It's going to be a close game. But let's go to a very important, if you want to say it, NFC East matchup. Giants at Eagles. All of us are picking the Philadelphia Eagles. No surprise.
I was going to say, wow.
That would have been wild.
Somebody needs to flip their pick.
But they've got to get some things in order. I mean, that was a tough loss that they suffered the other night. They're not playing great offensively. Adam, who kind of needs to get going to get that offense rolling?
Well, I really believe they need to get back to promoting A.J. Brown. You know, when this team was playing so well in the early part of the season, A.J. Brown was averaging, or at least accumulating, more than 125 receiving yards per game. And I don't think that it was any coincidence that when you were using him as the focal point of your offense, great things were happening, because it really does open it up for everybody. When A.J. Brown is right, it's better for Devonta Smith. It's better for the running attack. It's just better all the way around. So if I'm the Eagles and I'm drawing up these game plans, and I'm not saying this selfishly for my fantasy squad, get the ball to A.J. Brown and good things will happen.
I also think you need to get the run game a little bit more solidified other than like Jalen Hurts being this force of nature. But DeAndre Swift was brought in there to be explosive and get things going. So I'd like to see that, especially because the Giants have this like weird little kick with their defense now where they're kind of like, they've got something going with all this blitzing and they, I don't know. So I mean, you know, listen, you know Wink's going to blitz, but run right at them. Let's see if we can get some DeAndre Swift. Let's like make the RPOs work. Let's just a little extra.
Wasn't it funny? About halfway through the season, we were having A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill in the same conversation.
100%.
Tyreek has absolutely pulled away because A.J.
I mean, Tyreek Hill keeps missing games, but he's still on pace for 2,000 yards. I know 153 is like kind of an egregious total, but like it seems doable with Tyreek Hill.
By the way,
that's all he needs.
Yeah, no, you're like, okay, today.
That's it. Like,
what if he gets 200 today, or we'll be back down to? It's crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, our researcher Justin, a huge Eagles fan, when we were talking about A.J. Brown, was sitting back.
Thumbs up. Yeah, he was
into it.
Get him going.
He's into it.
I want to know Justin's. Yeah.
All right, so let's look
Arsenal,
at it.
Eagles. That's
in the AFC. Kansas City Chiefs, they can clinch the AFC West, which they haven't done, if they beat the Raiders, who they face in Week 16. We know this is a classic rivalry. The Raiders are playing better football. Patrick Mahomes and the guys, they need to get it going. Okay, who are y'all picking, guys?
The Chiefs.
Chiefs.
How about those Chiefs? Okay, we're all on uniform here, so we've got clean sweeps with our picks across the board, which means we're either going to have a good weekend or a very
bad
humbling
We'll be
weekend
mean.
right here. But Cynthia, I mean, there's somebody on the Raiders that you want to talk about, right?
There is. I mean, we all know Max Crosby's really good.
Yeah.
We give him a lot of flowers, but I've been a little mean to this secondary, so I apologize, Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps has played very well.
Yes, he
and
has.
it's going to be interesting because I think the Chiefs really want that run game to work out. They know they need to have Patrick Mahomes in a situation where he has both run and pass options on each down because some of the pass catchers maybe haven't been pulling their weight in terms of catching the actual
being
football.
real kind.
It's Christmas, for goodness sake. I'm trying to be nice. I don't want a lump of coal in my stocking. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Marcus Epps, he's been great, especially defending the run. Like, you don't often say that about a guy who lines up where he does. But he, like, swoops down in there. He could make life pretty bad on Isaiah Pacheco. So I'm not saying they don't win the game, but I am saying, Marcus Epps, congratulations. I'm sorry that I included you in a group number.
Well, their defense has played a lot better.
A lot better.
Way better, yeah.
A lot better. Yes. No coal for me. They're not as bad as they used to be. Huh? Oh, there we go.
There you go. All right, so coming up next on Game Day Preview, we've got bells ringing, and there's Jared Goff.
No.
We're headed back to US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis as the Lions and the Vikings have a huge NFC North showdown.
Restore the roar. When was the roar ever there?
NFL Game Day.
Bobby Lane?
An actual lion.
They had an actual lion.
Yeah, they had an actual lion, yeah.
In Vegas used to have an actual lion.
Yes.
Up front.
The Holiday Classic is back on NFL Network. Watch a special Sunday night of primetime football as the Patriots and Broncos light up the night. The NFL Holiday Classic tonight, live at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network and streaming on NFL Plus. All right, back talking to the Patriots and Broncos. About this game tonight, we know the Patriots, they gone, but the Broncos still have opportunities, and the Patriots can play spoiler. Someone on the Denver Broncos, you think with this offense that could have a tough go, could actually do a little something.
Well, we've seen Cortland Sutton make a lot of amazing acrobatic plays. I also think that he's just going to give a little bit of, like, I know Bill Belichick wants to take away your best thing. By the way, newsflash, every coach wants to take away your best thing. No, I
feel like you're having a go.
Oh, I will always have a go at you, but actually right now I'm not. So, but when I'm watching Courtland Sutton and his impact, I just don't know if they have anyone in the secondary that can match up with him.
Yeah.
And so if I'm a fantasy player, I'm not loving this, but I do, like, he's borderline, but I'm still thinking, all right, well, the best chance on here is going to actually be Courtland Sutton.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel great about it, but.
No, you don't feel wonderful.
No, I just don't think it's going to be a super high-scoring game. Watch it be 54.
That's what I was saying. I was saying dangerous is dangerous. You know what, though?
Weren't you saying he was the guy to avoid them?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, he was dangerous to play. That's what I meant. Like, he's dangerous to play because it's not safe.
Nope.
Not safe.
Like Dan Aykroyd giving out the bag of glass on Saturday Night Live years ago. In any event, hey, you know what? I feel bad for all those Patriots fans, like all those kids who are now becoming teenagers who became Patriots fans just because they were winning. Oh, what's it like now? What's it like now rooting for a team that now you're rooting for draft position? As a matter of fact, we have the draft order as it stands right now in the NFL, and the Patriots have the number 2 spot. And this is a really significant draft because a lot of people presume that a quarterback could be the top pick in the draft. So for New England, who went from Tom Brady to Mac Jones and are now Bailey Zappi, there's the potential of having one of the most coveted players in the NFL. Now, obviously, the Bears hold the top spot thanks to the trade last season for Bryce Young and DJ Moore and all that stuff. But still, New England has got an opportunity to not only outright win the number 1 spot, if that's the way that you want to put it, like be the top pick, but the team that has the top pick might be set at quarterback.
Think they're going to go Lovie Smith?
Might be set.
Think they're going to go Lovie Smith, win a couple games, and not even have to worry about that, not have to worry about the first pick?
Yeah.
But to that point, what you were just saying, what is Justin Fields' future with the Chicago Bears?
If you're asking me, I think that he should be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. I've seen enough. This is like America's Got Talent. Like, yep, I'm passing him on to the next round. I think that he's done enough amazing things with this team. Stuff that he does on the field, not many other quarterbacks, except maybe just Lamar Jackson, can do what he does. And so for me, if I have that number 1 overall pick again, I would call up New England and be like, do you want the presumed number 1 guy? I would move down a spot and take the presumed top 1. Can I say who the guys are? I don't know. The rules have changed over the years, but let's just say that his dad played in the NFL at one point. That wide receiver, I would go after him because I think that it's better to just build up. And then I would take wherever your natural pick is, and then I would trade back because you probably want a few more picks to fill out some other roster spots, the big spot being the center.
It's going to be real interesting, though, with New England and Chicago, who's actually going to be in charge of making the decisions of what they're going to do with those picks.
Like
that.
You guys
is a
can call me. I'll
question.
make your decisions for you.
All right.
You're watching the show, I'm sure.
Indianapolis Colts, they have a huge game against the Falcons today. A lot of injuries, though. Can they prevail with even a guy like Michael Pittman, the wide receiver, who was ruled out with a shoulder injury and a concussion?
It's wild, but yes, they have enough of the solid foundational players, especially the defensive front is great. But you get Jonathan Taylor back, and things are a little bit better looking, right? We saw some running backs contribute that we didn't even think about for fantasy. In fact, ranked it a whole segment, and like the whole thing was like, hey, all these Colts running backs, that helps no one. But I think Jonathan Taylor is going to help a lot of people, and most importantly, the Colts. So I do think it's a lot to ask of him, but they paid him, and they, to me, like, okay, go out there, sir. Show us what you're made of.
And they're playing a pretty good Falcons defense. And
they are.
It has implications.
But the Falcons offense likes to call some strange things. So I digress.
Roll the tape, please.
The Lions, this is the low point.
It was an ass kicking from start to finish.
God, we fight though, man.
We know what we're capable of. We are now springboarding. They're going to have to shake things up.
We joke around, we're the misfit toys.
Come on, boys, let's go dig deep.
Sports is built on hope. And if you don't have that, then you don't have anything. Goff looks, throws. Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Let's go!
Aiden Hutchinson knocked it loose. The Lions are going to win this game.
They're so much improved over 2 years ago.
We don't carry the weight of the last 30 years here. It's the 2023 Lions.
I believe the Lions are going to win their division.
Lions can clinch a playoff berth this weekend.
With a little luck from Santa.
Detroit Lions, they win over the Vikings today, and they can clinch the NFC North. Or they can clinch a playoff berth in Week 16. With a Seahawks loss, they have positioned themselves well. Tough game, though. They play the Vikings twice over the next 2 weeks as we're seeing Jared Goff warm up there. Cynthia, DB on the Lions. A maligned secondary, but someone who stood up and played very well this season.
I want to give a little love to Brian Branch. I actually had him being drafted in the first round. He went in the second, which just means he'll get paid a season sooner. But I'm watching his impact on this game, and especially with all of the injuries that they had throughout the season, GJ, he could potentially be coming back soon, which would be quite helpful for everyone involved. And let's be fair, this push up front, save for Aiden Hutchinson, really doesn't happen very consistently.
Great.
So what he's been able to do transitioning from Alabama to Detroit, amazing. I'm really, I'm proud. I feel like very maternal. I'm very proud of you, son.
Yes.
Good job.
Well done.
Getting very old now, I can say, I'm proud of him. I feel very proud of him.
well, you know who's proud, Adam?
Yes.
Brian Flores in that defense.
Yeah, he's done a really nice job. It's very difficult to pick up this Brian Flores defense. It is like going to a 400 level class without doing any of the prerequisites.
And I went to 400 level classes with him.
With him.
Wow.
At Boston College.
Humble brag.
It's very difficult.
No, that's a regular brag.
It is
Not
just
even
a brag. Oh, she's all, and Ryan Poles was there too. We get it. Watch the fantasy show. We go over all this stuff. But we love this Vikings defense. We love Ryan Flores and what he's been able to do, but it took a little bit of time. It's one of those true trust the process situations, and it's a testament to the Vikings players who stuck with it, and now we're starting to see the benefits of it. Now they're one of those dangerous teams making a run for the playoffs because of Brian Flores and that defense.
Daniil Hunter, Josh Metella, so many guys who have really emerged in this front. All right, now it's time for our Sunday statement. Cynthia Freeland, you are out of the gate, the Miami Dolphins and Raheem Mostert.
I'm going to take the easy answer, and that is that Raheem Mostert will see the end zone yet again. Possibly even twice, but maybe Devin Achane takes the second one from him. But I think the Dolphins finally get that, could the Dolphins beat a good team? Yeah. Well, you know what? Mike McDaniel said it to us too, kindly F off. That's what it is.
All due respect.
With all due respect. For me, I'm going to go, listen, it's the holiday season. We love those Hallmark movies, the ones that star Patrick Dempsey and Lacey Chabert. This one, a young Arthur Smith returns home to Atlanta and finally gives the football to Bijan Robinson. Yes, it's not a ring or anything like that, but give the ball to Bijan. You picked him in the top 10 last season for this last draft for a reason. Get him the football. It is absolutely mind-blowing.
Go have him block.
All right, quickly, my Sunday statement. Travis Kelce, the Chiefs tight end, finally gets back in the 100 yards category.
Love to see it.
Someplace he has not been since week 7.
Oh, my God.
It's been an issue with this Chiefs offense.
As the Lions play out.
Everybody, Merry Christmas. Happy Week 17. It is going to be a good one. Thanks for joining us here at Game Day Preview.